Friends and viewer, Vicar of Wakefield, written by Oliver Goldsmith. This novel, Vicar of Wakefield, is written in 1766, and this is also one of the world masterpieces in English literature. The Vicar of Wakefield by Oliver Goldsmith. So, Oliver Goldsmith, let me tell you about him. Born at Pallasmore Company, Longford, Ireland in 1728. After a varied financially unsuccessful life in England and Ireland, tramped through Europe in 1754 till 1756, arriving penniless in London. He looked to journalism, died in poverty on 4th of April 1774. The Vicar of Wakefield by Oliver Goldsmith. This is the novel. The Vicar of Wakefield was originally published in 1766. Goldsmith was an Irish novelist and written from the point of view of the vicar, which was widely popular among Victorians in the late 19th century. Goldsmith was friends with Dr. Samuel Johnson, a well-known literary critic and author. Johnson reportedly helped Goldsmith publish the novel in order to pay back rent. Although the novel incorporates multiple genres, everything from poetry to sermon to prose, most critics consider The Vicar of Wakefield to be a fictional memoir told in his first person. This novel opens with the vicar and his family. This is the story of the vicar and his family. Dr. Charles Primrose lives in his country parish with his wife, Deborah, and their children, among whom are George, Olivia, and Sophia. They can afford their comfortable lifestyle because Charles wisely invested inheritance he received from the relative who passed away before the story begins. Of his wealth, he donates about £35 to orphans and veterans alike. That money comes from his wages. Charles' son George is set to marry Arabella Wilmot. The next day, Arabella comes from a wealthy family, so the match is considered beneficial to both families until the vicar's investors goes bankrupt and loses all of the vicar's money before leaving town in a rush. So what happened afterward? That a result, Arabella's father calls off the wedding and George is sent to town. With his Oxford education, the Primrose family hopes he can make his own way there. The others all move to another parish, humbler in situation than where they lived at the start of the book. It is on land owned by Squire Thornhill. On their way there, they learn about Thornhill's womanizing reputation. They hear too about his uncle Repetition, which is one of the generosity and worth. His uncle name is Sir William Thornhill. So, meanwhile, Sophia nearly drowns but is rescued by a man named Mr. Burchill. The family met him in an inn on their way to their new parish. However, Deborah, who is ambitious for her children and wants them to make advantageous matches, discourage any feelings of attachment Sophia might have for Mr. Burchill. Life settled into happiness. and regularity. Both Mr. Burchill and Squire Thornhill visit the family frequently. Olivia is swayed by the Squire Thornhill's charm and good looks, but she is not the only one. Both Deborah and Sophia become convinced that their ambition will be answered should we marry one of them. After Olivia reportedly flees the parish, Charles initially believes Mr. Burchill to be driving force behind her disappearance. However, when he finds Olivia, he learns that it was Squire Thornhill who persuaded her to leave. He had convinced her they would marry, though he intended only to undergo a mock wedding and planned to leave her afterward, which Charles learned is Squire Thornhill's modus operandi. Olivia returned home with Charles, only to find that their house is on fire. The family lives, but they lose all their possession and money. Squire Thornhill continues to demand that Charles pay rent despite the fact that the house is destroyed. Since Charles cannot pay, Squire Thornhill has him arrested and brought to debtor's prison. George, hearing of Squire Thornhill's behavior, challenges him but is arrested as well. Sophia is abducted and Olivia reported dead. All seem lost for the vicar, at least until Mr. Burchill's return. After rescuing Mr. Burchill determines that Olivia is alive. The vicar learns that Burchill's truly identity is one other than Sir William Thornhill, the uncle of whom the Primrose family had heard such favorable report. At the end of this story, there is a double wedding during which George and Arabella are finally able to marry. Sir William Thornhill marries Sophia. As it turns out, the mock wedding that Squire Thornhill had planned with Olivia's wasn't fake at all, and they are actually married. In a final benevolent twist, the bankruptcy investor who lost the vicar money at the beginning of the story is rediscovered and Charles' wealth is restored. While this work can be viewed as a satire on sentimental fiction, the main theme of this story is faith. Dr. Charles Primrose, the vicar, can be viewed as Job from the Bible, who suffers but never loses faith, and whose continued devotion is ultimately rewarded by God. Wakefield is an important site for Christian literature. The Wakefield master, known for the writing of Wakefield mystery plays, was celebrated contributor of mystery plays that convey the mystery of Christian faith. So, by placing the vicar in Wakefield, Oliver Goldsmith draws between the Vicar of Wakefield and those mystery plays. So, the Vicar of Wakefield, this novel is one of the best novel, Oliver Goldsmith, and it is the story of a vicar who is a holy and a saintly man who, despite every hardship and ups and downs in his life, he remained firm on his conviction and played a beautiful role in his life with the encounter to other people. The Vicar of Wakefield by Oliver Goldsmith. I hope you will enjoy this novel when you read it, and found it very interesting, very one of those novels which will always left his impression on your mind. So I hope you will enjoy this when you read it. Thank you very much for patiently listening.